Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide. So that song popped into my head as I was starting this video, because I'm talking about, are we in real life or are we in a fantasy? Is this premonition? Is it intuition? Is this anxiety? Is it panic? And this is a question that comes up a lot when I work with empaths, because of course, we're kind of running rampant with some mental health struggles in our communities these days. And a lot of people have these really, what I am going to consider genuine, founded reasons for having anxious or depressive episodes, thoughts, and moods. I am for safety. If you need medication, then you need medication. And there really is a place where it's safe for you and a place where it's functional for you. And I support you doing what you need to do. I'm also going to say there are some times in my life where I had anxiety and depression because there was genuine things causing it that needed to be changed in my life. I would say there was a lot of that, actually. And there was also a time where I was on medication because I didn't feel I had the strength, ability, or resources to even deal with those things. So there is a time and right place for everything. And, you can be spiritual and be on medication. I just want to say that first, because, when you talk about anxiety, you have to be careful because it is also a diagnosis and a disorder, as well as like a feeling and an experience. So it is a little confusing. I kind of wish we had really different words so we could talk the same. And I would just make sure that I wasn't crossing any toes or stepping on toes, crossing any lines or boundaries and stepping on toes. So is your premonition or thought, is it from anxiety or is it from intuition? How are you going to tell the difference? So what I always try is routing back to the body, back to yourself. I believe that your body is the receiver for these intuitive hits, and that you will know that it's intuition when it drops in clearly, when it feels calm, when it feels certain. And I would say when you feel clear, when it feels as though it's not creating or generating more stress. I'm going to talk about a few different things here because I know there's layers to this, okay? So I have notes. So one thing is, when you have a panic or a fear or an anxiety about something, it can be really easy to believe that set of feelings. And that would be called emotional reasoning. And that's us believing that our emotions are our reality, and our emotions are dictating appropriately 100% of the time, which is just not true. Our emotions are responding to how we've coded thoughts around certain experiences and, how we behaved last time and how that did and whether it served us or not. Our brain's really smart and it's trying to actually help us a lot of the time. It's just about figuring out where it's going wrong and attempting to help us. That's really how we can kind of hack our brain and learn how to stabilize ourselves and think clearly. So how to know if it is, a real panic that needs to be there? You got to look at the subject first and how you're relating to that subject. So for an example, sometimes people can be hypochondriacal, right? And believe that they have every diagnosis that is possible. And so that would be considered kind of like a health anxiety. And there's lots of different ways and, that shows up. And there are times where we also receive like an intuitive hit and we go, I think something's really off with my health. And you go get it checked out and oh my gosh, good thing you caught it in the nick of time. Good thing you listened to that intuitive impulse and went in. So how do you tell the difference? Which one's anxiety and which one's fear? Because that person in the first example, we could say, is acting out of fear because I said they were hypochondriacal, which is sort of indicating that there is not something going on. There are also many times people have been labeled as hypochondriacal when they actually have a severe or complex thing going on. So that can be really difficult, right? Like that is where these lines get blurred and why it's really challenging for us. So again, I will say it will be clear and it will be certain, and you will be calm. Calmness is the piece that would probably dictate that person's panic if they really let the adrenaline run out and if they manage their body in order to connect to it. Would they still have that experience? And that can be especially tough when there's other symptoms getting layered in there that do belong based to, some other legitimate diagnosis. And then, they're trying to find more. And so we got to look at where does that root come from, and to know even if that intuition is speaking clearly. When you feel very clear and very certain, it's always best to get it checked anyway. It's always best to follow that instinct, even if it ends up being, hey, that was nothing else going on. It's important to figure it out if that's coming in as clear and certain, because you never know, right? And so I would also say intuition feels steady. And often with panic, you will feel unsteady. And so you need to wait until it feels steady in order to see clearly. That's one way. With relationship anxieties, it can be very similar. You feel panic based on attachment. And so you need to feel clear of your own attachments first in order to actually truly assess what your lingering feelings are, which is complex. That's a lot of work to do. And I can understand how that's a challenge, or potentially that's a totally new concept to you. You're like, what are attachment styles? How do people attach or detach? If you've never heard of attachment styles, I would love for you to go look that up. And if you've never heard of cognitive behavioral therapy or distorted thinking patterns, I would also love you to go look that up. They are two things that I end up talking about in the Empath Energetics program. So of course, if you want to deepen this, or if you want it to really be more specifically about you and your situation, that would be an awesome place, an awesome process for you to go through. I really love helping people in that way, figuring out what's your intuition, what's just panic or fear or worry or anxiety. It's a big question. Like, a lot of people come into Empath Energetics just wanting that answer. Another way that we can test if something is premonition or anxiety, or intuition or anxiety, is by using our intuitive development tools, such as the pendulum, such as muscle testing, such as forward and backward movement, such as hands on heart. I can go on and on and on with how many different tools I have for you to discern what's true intuitive knowledge and what is anxiety and fear that is triggering you and opening you up potentially to heal even deeper and even more layers of yourself. Everything that is exposing us to a discomfort is allowing us to find comfort. Disconnect allows us to find greater connection, I do believe. Another aspect that can kind of make this confusing is when you get a fear or a thought or a vision of something bad happening, and then you go, oh my gosh, am I just anxious that that thing might happen? Or is that me seeing ahead and I should really warn that person? And, for the overthinkers out there, you go, if I warn that person, is that stepping in the way of fate? Or am I a bad person if I don't warn that person because I should have, because that was their fate, was for me to tell them about it? And it can go on and on and on, and you can loop forever. I know my mother, unfortunately, I was in a car accident, which someone had another name for car accident that they liked. Car incident, like just something that happened. Because I really felt very divinely protected in that accident. I didn't feel it was an accident at all. There's a lot of synchronicities actually with that event in my life, the car event. I'd be happy to share that story with you if you ever want to reach out. Be like, tell me more about that, because the synchronicities were really wild and the timing of it was really interesting. And I truly feel like, okay, that's not going to happen again. That felt like a one-off thing that showed me something really deeply. However, my mother earlier that day didn't want me to use the car. And it was her car that I completely totaled. It was crushed. And she didn't want me to use the car. And throughout the day, I would ask if it was okay if later that I used the car. I was literally just doing like a little drop off, and I didn't have a vehicle at the time. So I was just trying to get my stuff done and wasn't really thinking anything of it. And I didn't really know why she was dodging it so much. I thought she just wanted me to stay at home. And later here's the other, another funny piece about it. My father, before I left, once she finally agreed, and she didn't really seem like she wanted to agree, but I didn't really know why that was. She didn't say anything about it. When I left, my dad said, drive safe. He came outside and said, drive safe, which was very unusual because they always, they would wish that, but he wouldn't come out to say that, or it wasn't like every single time they would say that or think that. It's just sort of like a nice thing to say, but like specifically came out to say, hey, drive safe, okay? And very strange. And then that was the day that I had that happen. And my mom felt some feelings after, because she was like, I had a thought of you getting into an accident today, and then I let you use the vehicle, and truly, just sometimes people feel afraid to speak their premonition into existence. There's no way for us to know now. I believe everything that needed to happen in my life has happened, and it's okay that some things hurt. So I don't think that maybe she should have told me or anything, but it's really interesting that brought up a concept for us of, hey, next time you get a feeling like that, please feel free to just let me know. I would prefer to not get in an accident. And if you have that thought, maybe it would just keep me from it. Maybe there wasn't a need for me to go through that. Again, I kind of think there was maybe a need for her also to deny her own intuition in order to learn that it's okay to speak that up. And so that's the way we learn that. But I would say, don't be afraid that you're going to speak something into existence if it is in your power to help the situation. And always think, what am I doing out of love? If the fear is, Kate, I had this thought about you getting into an accident or a crash, and I had to tell you that. Could you go out tomorrow? I honestly probably would have listened, because I would have been like, that's legit. I don't want to do that. I'll just go tomorrow. But at the same time, right? Fate is fate. As well, I think something that can help you discern what is intuition, what's anxiety, just noticing your body reaction. If your body and your mind is racing, likely not a premonition. It's likely overthinking, anxiety, story writing, could be catastrophizing, could be any of the faulty thinking patterns, really, that I introduced in that program. I would say, if it's a gut feeling, we also need to assess, is that coming from a heart place, or is it coming from a protection place? Sometimes it's good to pay attention to just how it feels, right? So if you feel shaky, if you feel scattered, you need to get unscattered in order to even see whether that was intuition or anxiety. So before even following either or, because you don't want to follow anxiety, that's not helpful, it's not productive. But you don't want to listen to intuition if it's actually anxiety, because if you're listening to intuition and then running yourself amok, not addressing that it's anxiety, you're going down the wrong path. And you don't also want to ignore intuition that is true, right? So the stuff that comes in that is clear and certain and true, you don't want to push it to the side, just saying, oh, that was nothing. So using some of those intuitive development tools, checks, using some of those checks and tools that I teach, definitely really beneficial. Checking your body state and seeing what state of mind you're in. If you're feeling shaky, if you're feeling agitated, angry, if you're feeling scared. If you're feeling scared, it's likely not premonition. Premonition and intuition, even if it's a heavy subject, usually you don't come in with fear immediately. Even my mom, when I explained that thing about the car crash, she actually just had the feeling like it was going to happen. She didn't necessarily react to it or say she was really scared. It's just, I think that as we talked, there was a bit of that fear of bringing it into existence if she said something about it, or, upsetting me if it was like, don't go use this, I think you might get in a crash. And I'd be like, oh, are you crazy? But I'm just not the type to say that, because I teach intuition. So I wouldn't say that. I think so. If you're getting like a gut pang about something, you still need to sort of rise it up into your heart in order to discern, is it this fear or is it real, true intuition? As well, I would say like how long they last. So an anxiety spiral will only last for so long, and then it might shift or change into something else, or you'll feel exhausted, and it has that feeling of the body tension with it. If you're relaxed and it's clear and that lasts for a long time, it's likely more intuition and knowledge because it's just unshakable or unmoving. And that's really what you want to look for. And we really don't want to be doubting our intuition. So if you do need some help with this one-on-one, you can absolutely book time with me. I'm pretty good at validating which things are true, which things are, you're close, but it's not quite that. It actually looks more like this. Because I've actually worked as a psychic and intuitive for years now and as an oracle for years. So it's my joy to help people get back to that place. And sometimes that means me confirming or denying certain things that you're feeling in order to help you say, okay, this is now what you've been seeing is fully lined up, or hey, here are the things that I didn't see were lined up. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's your anxieties and I can be like, hey, that's not a thing, and help you out. So if you want to book time with me, feel free to do that below. But if you know you're ready to dive in to your intuition, to strengthening your intuitive skills, helping you make way clearer decisions, helping you feel more like yourself, helping you restore your energy instead of wasting it on inefficient modes of operation, please feel free to check out the link for Empath Energetics. I would love to talk to you about it. If you have any questions at all, you can just book a free 15-minute call. We can video chat about it and see whether it is a good fit for you at this time. So the next early bird, the early bird pricing ends August 22nd. So it's $222 US a month for 4 months starting or until August 22nd, and then the price will go up. And we start all together in September for Empath Energetics round 4. It's so exciting that I'm on round 4. It's just been such a blessing to see how it's shifted and grown. And the program has gotten more and more awesome with every round that's come in, because they always have different needs. And I add in more stuff depending on those needs. So it's very robust now. It's a program that I stand by, that I know is clearly able to help. I've tested it and tested it and tested it, and now we're on round 4. So this is good stuff. I don't know when the next one will be. So if you've been interested, this is the one to jump in on. After this point, it may be a lot less one-on-one focused. That's what I'm feeling is going to change. So if you really want to get in on the Empath Energetics thing, now is your time. If you need help financially, if that is feeling like, wow, that's, exactly what I need, but I can't afford it right now, I would love to help you get to that place. I would love to support you in any way that makes sense. We can do an extended payment plan. I love being able to help people as needed. And if you're ready, I'm ready to welcome you and join you in. So there may be other little perks and bonuses if you join early. I do like to give often and give lots to the empath folks just for dedicating themselves to their own healing. Again, this is a much more fulfilling path than just seeing people here and there. This is really getting back to yourself, really working on what you need to heal and resolve long-term, getting these tools and skills and seeing yourself fully so that you feel ready for this next phase and next chapter. A lot of people I've been talking to are going through a really big shift in their life. If you're going through a really big shift, you're going to want a strong foundation energetically to hold all that is that you see in your future. And this program just does exactly that. So please take a look below. If you're already here in the video, if you've watched this whole time and you're like, Kate, just want to send you some love, like, comment, subscribe, just say hi, let me know you're here, and we will chat soon. Hey, take care, everyone.